In psychoanalysis, if let's make a distinction between demand, desire, and drive very quickly. And I think I can relate this to three types of religion. So demand, in a nutshell, is what you see in an infant, right? A demand is you're hungry, you make a cry, you get fed, right? So it's very basic, one-to-one. You want something and you get something, right? And the perverse subject experiences the other as a demand that I can fulfill completely, right? So as the fantasy of the perverse subject is that the other is making a demand, I can fulfill that demand. But that's demand, very simple. The funny thing is, most people in a popular level just think that that's what desire is in a way, is that you want a coffee and you buy a coffee. You want a car, you get a car, whatever, right? That's demand. Demand is for an object. Desire is for, potentially, you could say in a nutshell, a lost object. So the idea of desire in psychoanalysis is ultimately kind of like you're barred from the mother's breast. You're barred from this private enjoyment that you kind of had pre-subject, right? And what's called the incest taboo is in anthropology, which is, you guys, again, you can't stay privately enjoying at your mother's breast. You have to get substitute enjoyments in the world. That's the incest taboo. This is the Oedipus complex, right? So you have to, you break away from this mother-child symbiosis. And every object is a poor replacement for that kind of symbiotic oneness, right? So in one sense, you think of it, so when you desire a car, it ultimately you get it, and it's not that satisfying. When you get it, you know, and you keep moving. So desire becomes this mimetic thing. So already in desire, you see that nothingness or lack is involved, and then drive, you can say, is for loss itself. So if demand is for an object, desire is for the lost object, drive is for loss itself. Now, in terms of three forms of religion, you could say, you know, there's types of popular religion where God is an object that you can have that satisfies you, and there's promise of going to church and you encounter God and you find satisfaction. So there's God as demand. God as desire, I think, is more kind of the more mature high churches that say, well, no, until the next life. We don't know God fully, you know, God is incomplete. There's a certain kind of discontent that's part of life. We see through a glass darkly, then we will see, we'll get to heaven, and, you know, maybe everything will be great there. So there's a kind of God as the lost object. What we're talking about with radical theology is God has lost itself, right? So we're talking about a religion not of demand, a religion not of desire, but we're talking about a religion of drive, which I don't think there's an institutional form of that. That's why I do this work. I don't think there is an institutional form of God as drive.